So now let's try to consolidate some of this. I started with this hierarchy of financial instruments, and I added these balance sheets over there, which I've now erased, okay, showing the hierarchy of entities, of financial institutions. So let me just add those in here. Remember, I was showing the central bank as having gold as its asset and currency as its liability. So we'll put the central bank here, straddling the layers of the hierarchy. And we'll put the banking system here, straddling the layers of the hierarchy. And we'll put the private sector here. And in fact, I'm going to emphasize a particular entity in the private sector. I'm going to emphasize security dealers here. Security dealers here. Because I want to emphasize that each of these institutions, in its own way, is a market maker. A market maker in the following sense. If you think of what a security dealer is, I mean, this is Manhattan, so probably most people have some notion of what a security dealer is. That if you want to buy some Apple stock, they'll sell it to you. If you want to sell some Apple stock, they'll buy it from you. Okay, there's a bid-ask spread. They're making markets. The reason there are liquid markets in Apple stock is because there are dealers who are offering quotes like that. Okay, that in doing so, we emphasize they are knitting together deposits and securities. They're willing to go either way. You know, if you want securities, they'll sell you securities. If you want money, they'll buy your securities. So they'll go either way. Okay, they're straddling, in our sense, the bottom layer of the hierarchy. Okay, they're willing to go either way depending on you, and that is what determines price. Okay, the price of securities, or what I emphasized last time when I talked about the 4 prices of money, the price of securities. I'll let the interest rate stand in for that. A very important theme of this course, and we're going to have a theory of security dealers, and there's going to be charts and graphs and analytics and stuff. Okay, but the important thing to just alert you to right now is that we are going to think of banks as security dealers also. Okay, but what they're offering is a bid-ask spread in money. You know, if you want a bank deposit, you have cash and you want a bank deposit, Citibank will take it. They'll give you a deposit and if you want to go the other way, they'll do that too, right? So there's a bid-ask spread for money that makes Citibank work, okay, as a retail bank. The price that they're trying to maintain there is this price I talked to you last time as par. That is to say, currency and deposits exchange 1 for 1, okay? And that's, now that you understand that as a price, you can see, well, there's a bit of a challenge in keeping a price fixed like that. And then finally, we're going to understand the central bank also as a kind of security dealer at a yet higher level. Okay? It is making markets between the international money and the domestic money, and it's willing to go either way. Okay? If you want international money because you're buying something from abroad, they'll give it to you. If you want to change that international money into domestic money, they'll do that for you. Okay? So there's some, and the price that is sort of made in that market is the exchange rate. You know, there are other foreign exchange dealers and stuff like that. We're going to get them into our story too. Okay, this is sort of a stylized picture to give you an image of the system as a whole and where everything kind of links up. That these prices that we talked about last time are also hierarchical. You know, they're about the price of at the highest level, the next level down, the next level down, and now we come to the issue that I started with. When you learn economics, you say to yourself, we try to abstract from money, the veil of money, in order to see this good A and this good B are exchanging at a relative price because of the utility functions and the production functions and so forth. We abstract from all of this money, and we don't even tell you what the goods are. You know, they're just widgets or whatever, and so they're all the same. Okay. In monetary economics, these prices, as long as these prices exist, you can have the impression that the things they're the prices of are all the same. They're just quantitatively different. There's a price at which you can exchange securities for deposits. There's a price at which you can exchange deposits for currency. There's a price. And so you can imagine that they're all at the same level. There's a price that makes them quantitative. This qualitative difference that I've been emphasizing looks like quantitative similarity. It's just a matter that the prices are moving, and so you get more of one and more of the other. This is why a lot of economic theory, the impulse of economists often, to take what they know in the supply and demand world and just say, well, let's use that for understanding these prices because it looks like that's what's going on here, and they lose the hierarchy. Okay, you're abstracting from the hierarchy when you do that. That's why I'm starting with the hierarchy, to say it may be in normal times, yes, it's not so bad to treat that. There are prices, qualitatively different things trade in a way that you can swap back and forth. Just as you can swap, there's a price for a kidney and there's a price for an army tank. Those seem really very different sorts of things. And yet they seem the same from the point of view of the theory of value. From a moral point of view, perhaps they're different, but economics makes them the same. I'm making a different point here. This is obviously not about ethics or something, but I'm just trying to, again, there's a hierarchy in ethics, right? And so you're used to thinking of hierarchies in ethics, and there's a hierarchy in money, and that may help as an image. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so here's the system. There are these different instruments, there are these different institutions, there's these different prices of money. Connect this up to this diagram here. So this system is fluctuating. It's fluctuating. Scarcity to elasticity to scarcity and back again. Okay? And as it's fluctuating, these institutions are standing in the middle of those fluctuations, right? With one leg in two different levels. Right? Left leg down here, the right leg up here. And when there's an assertion of hierarchy, you're pulled in two directions, okay? That this differentiation between your asset side and your liability side can cause a big problem for you, okay? If you're long this and short this, and suddenly this becomes very scarce, okay, you are in trouble. Because this goes up in value relative to that, and you can be insolvent, but you can go out of business. Liquidity kills you quick. These are liquidity dealers, all of them. Okay, and if you cannot actually settle your books at the end of the day, you are just done. You're just done. And they all face, all three of these institutions face this constraint. And so that's sort of where we're going to start next week, is thinking about that liquidity constraint. Security dealers have it a little easier than banks because in a crisis they can change the price, interest rates, asset prices. You see these plunges in a financial crisis, right? Asset prices plunge. And so security dealers have that degree of flexibility, okay? In a crisis, banks might like to say, you know what? I promised to give you currency for these deposits, but how about 80 cents on the dollar? How about that? They wouldn't be banks anymore, if they did that. This happens in crises. Similarly, breaking an exchange rate, a fixed exchange rate, or the gold par or something, that these things come under stress in crises, and you discover they're not the same kind of thing. These things are better than these things. And these prices can go away. They can just go away. These markets can completely break down. The market makers lose all their money, and they just stop making markets anymore. And you cannot go from one level of the hierarchy to another in a crisis. You can't go, not for any price. There is no price because there is no dealer. There's no market maker. This is what happens in financial crises.